Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss our chapter 3rd, that is Adaptation in Animals. Students, we have done in earlier class how do plants adapt themselves and also about the plant life in earlier chapters, chapter 1 and 2. Now in this chapter we are going to discuss about the animals' life. How do animals adapt themselves? That means how do animals survive? This chapter is also related to adaptation is what we have discussed in earlier chapter also is same, that is the same thing. Animals and plants are always linked together. We have done this earlier. How do they link together? Plants get their carbon dioxide from animals, and animals get their habitat, their food from plants itself. In the similar way, animals also need some conditions to adapt themselves. What are those conditions we will discuss in this chapter? Let's try to understand the term adaptation again. The process which enable organisms to adjust to their environment in order to ensure survival. That is, survival is the main reason to get adapted to themselves to the surroundings. The main reason for the plants and animals to get adapt themselves is to survive. The plants and animals, those who are not able to adjust themselves, do die out. That means survival is the existence condition. They need to survive to the environment, to the habitat, to the food, for the shelter, and these adaptation conditions decide on whether the plant will survive or the animal will survive themselves. Now our chapter is related to adaptation with animals. Now adaptation in animals is related to many factors. What are these factors? Let us try to understand. Adaptations. Now what we have learned the meaning of word adaptation, that is to adapt themselves to their surroundings or to the environment. What kind of adaptations do animals need? Animals need first of all adaptations to their habitat. What is habitat? Habitat is the home or the natural environment of a living being. For example, where does a lion live? A lion lives in den. Where does a puppy live? Puppy lives in his house. So this is the habitat for that animal. Habitat is the main reason where animal could survive. Animal need their protection, animal need their food, and they need their just like a social animal, just like human being is a social animal, they need house to live in the similar way every animal need their habitat. For example, those animals that are living in forest areas, the forest is their habitat because they can get their caves. Birds burrow in, lives in their holes in their nests that they dig it in trees, and snakes, rabbits, they burrow holes deep down in the earth and they live there. So this is the habitat for these animals. Second kind of adaptation that they need is the adaptation for their protection. What kind of protection do animals need? Like small animals need protection from big animals, just like a rabbit needs protection from the lion. It's just in the same way a deer needs protection from the tigers and lions and big animals. So a protection is the next condition to adapt themselves. The animals that are living in forest areas, how do they survive in that areas? They protect themselves from the animals that they could be the species or enemies for them. So to protect themselves from those enemies, they need their home, their habitat. They go into their habitat and they protect themselves from those enemies. Adaptation for food is the third need that is required by the animals. Animals adapt themselves to their food habits. What kind of food do animals need? Some of the animals are herbivorous that eats only plants. Some are carnivorous that eat only the flesh of other animals. And some animals are omnivorous that eat both plants and animals. So this is the adaptation of food for them. Now next kind of adaptation is the adaptation to climate. Some animals are more comfortable in adapting themselves in the cold regions than the other animals who could well adapt themselves in hot regions. For example, camel. Camel कैसे होता है? Camel could adapt themselves in desert areas, and desert areas are the most hottest regions ऑफ द ऑन द अर्थ, डेजर्ट एरियाज जितने भी होते हैं वो हॉटेस्ट रीजन्स में आते हैं. इसी तरह से पोलर बियर्स कुड सर्वाइव इन द स्नोवी एरियाज. जो स्नो क्लैडेड एरियाज होते हैं जहाँ पे बहुत सारे बर्फ़ होती है, वहाँ पे आपको पोलर बियर्स पाए जाते हैं. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ देयर थिक फर, उनके फर की वजह से दे कुड सर्वाइव ईजिली इन दैट कोल्ड रीजन्स. कोल्ड एरियाज में वो ईजिली सर्वाइव कर सकते हैं. So this is how animals adapt themselves according to the climate. Now you can easily see in this picture. This is about adaptation in animals. As we have done in adaptation in plants, what are the plants that grow in the hot areas, cold? We have done this earlier also. In desert areas, those plants grow, they are called xerophytes. That means terrestrial animals, that means animals that live on land. Animals, among them come the camel animal. Camel क्या होता है? Camel is an animal who can walk in desert areas, and it can easily survive in those areas. That means in the xeric habitat. They need hot regions, hot areas, and they can easily survive in that kind of habitat. Now let's start with adaptation to the environment. You can easily see in chapter the first kind of animals that comes in 5 groups are the terrestrial animals. Terrestrial animals are what animals? They are those animals that live on land areas. Animals that are found in land areas are the terrestrial animals. For example, horse, giraffe, tiger, cow, they all are terrestrial animals. Among the terrestrial animals are those animals which live in cold regions, which live in hot regions, and which live in normal conditions, normal climatic conditions. First of all, the animals that live in hot regions, among those animals come camels. Camels hot regions में रहते हैं. In the same way, there are some animals which live in cold regions. For example, polar bear are the animals that survive in the cold regions. These animals have thick fur. They have fur and long hairs on their skin to survive, to protect themselves from the cold. These animals can survive in these regions because of their thick fur and long hair. In the similar way, the animals that live in hot places, they have thin fur. They don't have thick fur, they have thin fur. Camel is the only animal which have the skin like that it does not allow the water to evaporate from its skin. Now, other than the animals that live in hot regions, there are different animals that live in cold regions that can survive in the freezing conditions also. For example, penguins, they can survive in freezing conditions. The kind of habitat that is required by penguins is the igloo. You must have seen in your cartoons also that igloo is made by penguins in the cold regions as their habitat, and they easily survive in those conditions because of their thick layer of fat that covers their skin. जो थिक लेयर ऑफ फैट होता है उनके अंडर द स्किन होता है, उनके स्किन के ऊपर फर होता है, उनकी बॉडी वार्म रहती है उस फैट की वजह से, एंड इट इज़ कॉल्ड ब्लबर. वी कॉल्ड इट ब्लबर. सो सील, penguins, walrus, these are the animals that can even survive in the cold regions or freezing conditions. Other than this, the most common animal that is found in the desert regions, that is the hottest regions, is the sheep of the desert that we call it as camel. Camel is called the sheep of the desert. It is because it is the only animal that can easily walk in the desert areas. Desert areas में कैसे होता है? It has lots of soil, fluffy soil होती है उसमें बहुत सारी, एंड सैंड स्टॉर्म्स यानी कि जो तूफ़ान होते हैं वहाँ पे, धूल वाले तूफ़ान होते हैं, दे आर वेरी कॉमन ओवर देयर, एंड they can easily walk on such kind of soil or sand areas. And because of the thick bottom उनकी pads होता है, they are broad pads in their bottoms, and they can easily walk because of that. They have long legs and they have eyelashes, thick eyelashes. Because of it, they can cover their eyes and can prevent their eyes from the sandstorms. Another quality of the camels are that they can drink 50 liters of water at one time, and they can preserve that water in their body. Camel is the animal that have thin skin, and it has capacity to store this much amount of water, 50 liters amount of water it can store in its body, and it can live without water up to 10 to 12 days. Because of its thick skin, उसकी thick skin की वजह से the water does not evaporate from its body and it remains there, it can preserve that water. Another quality of camel is that it has hump on its back which stores right amount of fat in its body. The heat that is built up in the camel's body is escaped from that hump. उसकी बॉडी पे जो hump होता है उससे उसकी पूरी बॉडी की हीट escape होती है, and it does not escape from the thick skin, only from the hump, and it stores the right amount of fat in its body through which it can survive up to 10 to 12 days in the desert regions without drinking any water. Other than this, there are some animals that do adopt themselves through hibernation. अपने environment को कैसे adopt करते हैं terrestrial animals, उसमें से कुछ animals ऐसे होते हैं जो hibernation के through अपने आप को adopt करते हैं. Why do animals hibernate? What is the necessity to hibernate? सबसे पहले हम hibernate क्या होते हैं वो understand करते हैं. Hibernate is a winter sleep. विंटर स्लीप होता है फॉर सम टाइम पीरियड दैट इज़ ऑफन परफॉर्म्ड बाय सम एनिमल्स. कुछ एनिमल्स ऐसे होते हैं जो कुछ टाइम पीरियड के लिए विंटर स्लीप में चले जाते हैं. दैट मीन्स इन विंटर रीजन्स, कोल्ड रीजन्स में वो अबाउट 2-3 मंथ्स के लिए और मैक्सिमम 6 मंथ्स के लिए वो अपने बरोज़ में या अपने केव्स में या अपने होल्स में कुछ टाइम के लिए स्लीप करने के लिए चले जाते हैं. दे स्टोर द राइट अमाउंट ऑफ फैट इन देयर बॉडी इन द हॉट क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस जब होती हैं या नॉर्मल कंडीशंस जब होती हैं, वो अपनी बॉडी में राइट अमाउंट ऑफ फैट को स्टोर कर लेते हैं, एंड दे यूज़ दैट फैट इन द कोल्ड विंटर पीरियड्स व्हेन दे हाइबरनेट. जब वो हाइबरनेट करते हैं दैट मीन्स व्हेन दे गो फॉर स्लीपिंग, वो उतने टाइम पीरियड के लिए अपने बरोज़ में या अपने जो भी हैबिटेट होते हैं उसमें स्लीप करने के लिए चले जाते हैं और उतने अमाउंट ऑफ फैट वो अपनी बॉडी में ईजिली स्टोर अप कर लेते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल बियर्स, डोरमाउस, यू कैन सी हियर इन द पिक्चर इटसेल्फ, इट इज़ अ डोरमाउस. ये एक डोरमाउस है हु इज़ हाइबरनेटिंग इटसेल्फ, जो अपने हाइबरनेशन पीरियड में अभी इस टाइम अपनी होल के अंदर है और अपने आप को हाइबरनेट किया हुआ है इसने. यू कैन ईजिली see in the picture. Just as dormouse hibernate itself, in the same way frog and bears, they do hibernate itself in the cold winter period to protect themselves from the cold outside. Now, among these terrestrial animals, there are some animals who have scales on their body that prevent their skin from drying. Among those animals are snakes and lizards. Snakes and lizards are the only animals that have scales on their skin. कुछ इस तरह के एनिमल्स भी होते हैं जिनकी स्किन पे कुछ स्केल्स, दैट मीन्स लाइंस होती हैं उनकी स्किन पे, जिसके थ्रू वो अपनी स्किन को ड्राई होने से बचाते हैं, एंड दे कैन प्रिवेंट द लॉस ऑफ वाटर फ्रॉम देयर बॉडी. Other than these animals, next kind of animals are the aquatic animals. Class, we have done the terrestrial animals topic and I'm giving you some assignment regarding this. Please try to solve it out. Later on, I'll provide you with the solution also. Thank you.